Brian, I think I'll turn it over to you. You want to sit, have any, you have any, you're looking all sharp. I'm sitting here in a t-shirt.
Well, I may have to jump off a little
Okay.
earlier. I've got an appointment coming in, but I do want to say that just like you, I'm really glad the CFP is done. I did
Yeah.
the RICP, now I'm doing the TPCP, but frankly, I'm doing it more as a review, refresher, as a deeper dive
Yeah.
for CFP. But I will say this: every time I get together with Alan, I learn great new tips and techniques to study better. And I credit a lot of what I got from Alan to help me push over the edge. The first time I took the CFP, I failed. I didn't take it seriously enough, and then I redoubled my effort to go back and take it again because I'd never failed a professional exam before, and I figured my humility emerged as a result. I was humbled. I was humbled by
Yeah.
it, and then said, I don't care how many times I have to take it. I'm absolutely going to get it. So,
Yeah.
but I credit Alan for that. And by the way, I've joined every one of his study classes that he's done afterwards, and every single time I've picked up something that's been helpful to me. So, thank you, Alan. I
Thanks.
appreciate it.
No, you're welcome. And I started doing this. I initially just had offered to uh, tell people understand, use OneNote, like, cause I was, how it started was when I was getting ready to start my MBA, I was like, holy crap, how am I going to study? How am I going to stay organized? And I was like, so I was looking at different options, like Evernote, and I came across OneNote, and I was like, wait, this is a Microsoft Office project, which is what I use anyway. It's fully integrated. And I watched like one video, like a 55-minute tutorial on it. And I was like, this is perfect. And it was great. And so so I started teaching people how to use it because it was just so effective for me and helpful in staying organized that and so that started. And then Brian and I talked about study tactics as well. And after he passed the exam, he asked me if I'd teach a course on this. And so we've been doing it now every 3 times a year, just as we're getting into the study period for CFP. And so hopefully you guys find this useful. I don't want to waste anybody's time, but it's if people keep finding it useful, then we'll keep doing it. So before I get into OneNote, though, do any of you guys use OneNote? Yes. Okay. And so you might have some. I remember somebody else used it. Each of us probably have some certain things, but you might hopefully learn some things about using OneNote even better. Or just some things that I do that I found very, very beneficial. I mean, I use it for everything in my life now, pretty much. But to the CFP exam, we'll go kind of like into my thoughts on it. It is, as Brian already said, it's humbling. It's a 6 hour and 40-minute exam, and it's really like I guess the first thing is there's no easy button to pass the CFP. It's gonna take, and I do think, while frustrating, I do think it's a good thing because if everybody could pass it, then what's is there any prestige to having the marks? You know what I mean? So I'm glad it's hard, but it is no joke. So and one thing I say, it takes work. In the military, I was a Navy submarine officer, and one of the things I used to train my people is, look, when shit hits the fan, you don't rise to some level of Superman or something. You fail to your level of training. And that's the same thing with the CFP exam. You can't learn stuff in the exam, which I used to do that in college, like maybe you shouldn't have, but you have to know everything. I mean, you have to know everything and then be able to apply those concepts. So do the work, and that's how you'll be successful. It's just, and Brian, he already kind of expressed that. He kind of thought, hey, I'm already, financial advisor, yada yada yada, and found it was not as easy as he anticipated. But first, the next thing is everybody comfortable using their calculator? Okay. Do you guys use, I use the HP 10BII plus. And that was just because like the American College, that's what they used. And I'm like, okay, so I had like the 12C, I think, and I just use this one and it works well. But you have to do that. You can't the silly thing is when you're first studying those problems like college planning and whatever, the math stuff seems hard, but those are actually the easy questions on the CFP exam. And so, because it's all you have to do is get the pattern down and go through it. You know what I mean? And so like I would always write, the orders of the calculator down. You know what I mean? And then so I knew how to walk through each step. I just keep it consistent. But that just makes sure everybody's comfortable. So when I took the Dalton prep course, and so did Brian. I know you're doing Danko, Norca. Are you guys?
Yeah,
How
I
about
just
they're all? I mean, it's all this. The points are the same. No, no matter what. Um, how about Grace and Will? Are you guys? What do you guys take using?
There you
Danko,
I'm using the Dalton.
Dalton. Okay. Did you get the guarantee to pass?
Yeah.
Okay. Same here. And you get a little bit of extra stuff, which is beneficial. So the one thing though kind of annoyed me is when I learned the statistics, because you have to get at least a 70 on that exam readiness review, like a month out, which that's their judge of whether you're ready to you're going to pass or not. And if you get a 70 or higher, you're like at a 99% chance of passing. So it's like, okay, once you've guaranteed to them already that you're going to pass, they'll accept that as a guarantee. That's kind of jacked up. But anyway, it just made me laugh. But the Dalton prep course says that first coaching, they're like, look, it's going to be 15 to 20 hours a week of work. I mean, think about it, that's a lot. If you took a day off, other, that's 3 to 4 hours a day of study outside of your life. If I don't know if you guys are, especially I think to women, if you guys have children, this is a family affair. Okay, if your husband's not used to taking, you need absolute dedicated time that's just you and studying, your significant other needs to understand that, because you just have you have to have dedicated focus time that's just for you. So I just say that as far as my overall approach to this, and it might sound silly, but it was humble confidence. Like humble because I knew that if I just if I just thought I was smart and I, did the minimum, that I would fail. Like I knew this exam would be tough. But if I did the hard work and put my head down, that, I would pass. That was kind of but it was a hard work. And like for me, it was kind of frustrating because I was like really I had a high level of anxiety. I was like burning the candle at four ends when I had a full-time job outside of financial advising, running a satellite network, and we had just had a huge issue that's had long-term, corrective actions to figure out, um, and and we're doing remodels, specifically my office during that time, so my study area, um, and I had to finish the last class for the CHFC and do the Dalton prep, and I was like that was in April. I took it in July as well, and like early May, I'm like maybe I made a big mistake, and because I was um, but what I did was I'm like, okay, let me just finish that CHFC course, just knock one of these. So I only have 3 candles burning. So I knocked that out, fell behind on the Dalton prep course, but at least it took a burden off my shoulders so that I could, focus a little better. Um, but for me, that humble confidence helped because everybody just expects me to pass, I guess, and like I think it's my brother's the only one that knows the reason I pass these things is because of putting in the effort and the hard work. So when is your time? What when is your time that you can get dedicated focus time? For me, that's early in the morning. I get up before anybody. So at 5 a.m., that's my time to prep for the CFP, or anytime I'm taking, anything like that. And then I had dedicated hours where it was just me. And then usually in the evening, then I could have family time, so towards the end, yeah, I was like, okay, last 3 weeks, I don't care about any Netflix show or whatever. But initially, first couple of months, it did allow for that. So, but you definitely need time that's yours. And when's your best time to study? For me, and I think most people, it's the first part of the day. That's when your brains, your cup is full, and the best time you can focus. Okay. The other thing is, how do you learn? Um, everybody needs to understand that. And I kind of screwed this up. So um, the let me go to here. I'll show you the binder showing the study process they had. Let me go here.
Theory says that you need to touch something 7 times to capture it. Something like you have to see something at least 7 times, or hear it, see it at least 7 times in order to retain it.
Yeah.
And I think there's some truth to that, because if you like read a definition or do a problem like 1 time or 2, it's just not enough.
Yeah. No,
it's like
I
you
agree.
have to face it at least 7 times, and then you can possibly retain it.
And I think it depends on how complex it is, how many, if does it take 7 iterations or not. Some might take 15. Who knows? But it is, and it's you can't cram for this. You need consistent, consistent study, and then at the end they say not to cram, but those last few, I still went and walked through stuff, like feel like, oh, don't study the last week. And I'm like, whatever. That's how I've always done things. I'm not cranking it out, but I'm like, let me just do a quick
review
look,
it.
quick review, exactly, scanning, and then wait, what's that again? So, but I'm not I don't read. Oh, duh. I don't know. I don't learn well by reading, and yet, oh, sorry, I'll share the screen now. Okay, that should be okay. Can you see that? Okay. So this is the schedule that Dalton provides you. And I had this in a binder, and I tried to follow this as much as I can. I'd check off as I was doing things. And they had all these damn like readings. And I was doing that. And what it did took a lot of time. I'm a slow reader on stuff like this. And I was like, all of a sudden I'm spending all this time and I'm not getting through as much of the exam bank, which is 2,500 questions. And they say, you got to do it twice, get through it twice. And what I realized, I'm like, how stupid am I? I know this about myself. I learn by somebody teaching me. So listen to the videos or what have you, and then quizzing myself. Like, and then I go, okay, so that's what I would, if I redid this, I would have done that. I wouldn't have read the stuff. I would have went in, listened to the videos, and then tested, and then like, ooh, I didn't get that. Then I could go look exactly what I need to read. You know what I mean? And read there. And then if I don't figure it out, then I'll, find another way. But instead of reading all those, pages, understanding how you learn, really helps. And so had I been smarter, I would have, I wouldn't have read all this stuff, in my opinion, and I would have just, then I would have been able to get through the exam bank more. Okay, let's see. The other thing I want to point out is don't forget to exercise. We're meant to be in motion, and well, it can get to the point where you're thinking like, I don't have time. I got to just study. No, doing exercise will help your brain work better, and you'll study and retain better than if you didn't. You're not going to be setting PRs during the CFP exam prep, but keep active. And what I did, so towards the last month or so, I changed my whole workout schedule. I was still doing, so when I was doing zone 2, I just changed from like running or rowing or whatever to walking uphill on a treadmill. And then I'd sit in there and I'd listen to the live study, classes, or or the office hours on 2 times speed while I'm working out. And so I was getting that another review, just like you're saying, Norca, the 7, but I was also getting my exercise. So to me, it worked out very well. And I mentioned that because when you're walking, your head's not bouncing. You can actually pay attention, whereas a lot of other exercises, granted, maybe I just don't run very well because your head shouldn't be bouncing when you're jogging, but anyway, that I found very effective for staying in shape and yet still being able to study. So, okay. When you're studying though, you got to be able to focus. We kind of already talked about that. So one, you got to have dedicated time that's just for you. And if you're not, I used to have a friend in college who would like bang his head against like study for hours and hours. And he'd be like, dude, you just like, you take breaks like people study. And I was like, because I'd take a break for as long as I needed, and then I'd come back and I'd study and I'd be focused. And I wouldn't study for 4 hours at a shot. I'd study till I stopped being able to focus, and then I'd break. Because if you're not focused, you're not learning anything. So, and sometimes that's what I needed was to go exercise because it clears your brain, gets rid of the anxiety, and then you're like, okay, let me try again. But just making sure you're able to focus and you got dedicated time, make sure. So I guess overall, when I finally went in to take the exam, Saturday, I took it on Monday, like the last day, which is probably not a good idea in case, because there's a problem with the testing center or something, I would have screwed myself. Didn't think about that. But at the same time though, I was burning so many candles. I was like, okay, let me get as much time as possible, but don't do that. Um, Saturday I was like nervous, and I'm still flipping through stuff, and then Sunday I felt confident. I was like, I got this, and then Monday morning, driving in, I'm like, I feel good. And I started the exam and I had to flag the first 4 questions. I was like, oh crap, this might be a longer day than I was expecting. But you just got to take a deep breath because it's going to happen. There's going to be stuff you don't know, that and you just can't waste your time on it. So, but I just said, well, we'll see. And when I turned it in, I felt confident I had passed, okay. And we'll get into OneNote organization here soon. But I want to go through my kind of the last month, like the final battle rhythm that I kind of used. That, as mentioned, the exam readiness review, you need to get a 70 or higher, but definitely take that because that gives you a best metric. And Danko hopefully has something similar where about a month out, you take an exam that gives you a good, am I ready, to pass or not? And then if it says you're totally not, then maybe it is worth delaying. You know what I mean? Like for me, it would be worth it because it would be harder. Failing and then coming back would be harder than just saying, okay, I'm not ready yet. Let me try a bit later and go back. That's just my.
No, I would
for
say
me.
do the dress rehearsal. No, you paid your money, you put your time in, go in there
Then go do that. And but I'm just saying, I don't like failing. And and that hits me really psychologically hard, so and I know that other people that have, I know of somebody that's failed 4 times, and I think those failures add that it's not only the anxiety the first time, it's knowing you'd failed it before, and so that's only why I say that, Norca. I get it about the
I
money,
guess coming from taking the
CFA, yeah.
Failing to me is like, okay, next year.
Yep, and that's, I mean, the CFA is even harder than CFP. So, but no, that's true. That's just was just my thought. Like if it were my case, if it said, it was like, hey, dude, you're not gonna pass, I probably would just, okay, let me try it. Let me take re-prep and make sure and figure out how to do this,
because you never know. I don't know, is this exam, the CFA is, I guess you're going against your peers with the CFA, so
all these
it's on a bell curve. It's graded on a bell curve.
All of these are really.
This
CFP
one is
same
too?
thing. CFP is the same thing. So it depends, and they always have new questions that they're testing out, that they dump some of them. So
Right.
And if you get a preliminary pass, you've passed. Okay, it's not you have passed. Nobody has ever gotten that and ever failed. But in rare cases, there's a few people that have gotten a preliminary fail and then passed, because when they chop off those couple of questions, they just made it in. You don't
Mhm.
want to be that way, but you know, anyway, that's way, gosh, and I remember I learned from, I was talking to a friend of mine, and the guys he's partners with took the CFP exam years ago and had to wait like 4 weeks or something to get a result in the mail. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine. We're so
Yeah,
spoiled
the
anymore with that.
CFA takes like
Yeah.
4 months, and you're like
Oh,
just
that's crazy.
waiting.
Yep. Okay, so back to the battle rhythm. Take the Dalton prep exam. They give you two, and I would, and they also, the board, CFP board provides a exam. That one's going to be easier, so take that as well, because it might give you a little more confidence. But take the Dalton, see what that's more. It's not a diagnostic of how well you're going to pass, whether you're passing or not. It shows you where your weak areas are, so you can study. But realize, and part of what's so good about taking these is the endurance you need to take, because it's a full-on exam. So you know how quickly you start moving through it, because the CFP exam's really 4 exams. So you've got it's 170 questions, but the first 3 hours is 85 questions broken into 2 segments, 43 questions. You have to complete those, submit, cannot go back, then go on to the next 42, submit those. Then you get a little, 45-minute break, more like, or 40-minute break, more like 20, 25. Because you have to go back and get wanded and everything. And if you can, take it at a testing center. Do not take this at home. There's too many things that could happen wrong. You know what I mean? Taking it home. So go to the testing center, but no, you're going to have to get wanded and everything going in and out. So I brought like a snack food, like a couple hard-boiled eggs, some, like pistachios or something, just some healthy stuff, just for good for the brain, but to satiate me for the next 3 hours after, the second half. But the same thing, you go on second half and it's 85 questions broken down into 43 questions. You got to submit, can't go back. Then 42 questions, submit, and then and keep track of the clock, because then you submit, and you answer a few questions about the CFP exam. And then like, are you ready to submit? You're like, yes. Click submit and you'll get your result right then. But um, that's the thing. It's 4 separate exams. So you got to be smart about your timing, because you can't. Time's clicking off, so you got to push through and just flag and move on. If something's taking too long. Okay, the coaching call. They told me that I must finish the exam bank. I'd probably done 800 questions out of the 2,500. Not near enough. And they're like, month out, not a month, yeah, about a month out, I guess, or less. They're like, no, you got to get through the entire exam bank, and if you can, twice. And I remember thinking at that point, I'm like, okay, I've got a choice. I can just focus on exam questions, which are, really hard, those practice ones, or instead, I'm like, okay, I might get a few hard questions right that I might not have, but how many easy questions am I going to miss? Every question is worth the same amount. Okay. So what I did instead was went back and reviewed all the material, everything, every single session. And like I said, I'd listen to 2 times speed. I'd use it at the gym. And that way I touched on everything. Because the last thing what I hated is I get in there, I'm like, I know this, and it's an easy question, but I haven't looked at it in 2 months and I can't think of it. So having that retouch, within that last 3 weeks or so, just it forces, and then it goes, oh yeah, but I don't know that very well. So you get a chance to, look at, go back and focus on certain specific areas just to make sure you're strong. Let's see. Okay, so I think I said a lot. I typed some of this out just so that I make sure I cover. Yep, as I said, I listened to all the live classes in office hours at 2 times speed. I listened to it in the car, I'm going somewhere, at the gym, whatever, whatever I was doing.
Mhm.
As I said, I adjusted my cardio workouts to zone 2, walking uphill on the treadmill. Um, I took Dalton's has a recommendation of studying the ethics in the 42 hours prior to the exam. Definitely do that. The
Mhm.
ethics questions are actually hard, and they try to trick you, like which part of the, but it seems like ethics is so easy, but those questions are actually tough. So having a strong look at the ethics part, like they say,
Mhm.
within 40 hours of the exam is definitely important. I think I probably got 4 or 5 questions right just because of that. That I might have missed.
That's probably the only section that you can't fail. Like I know
Yeah.
on the CFA exam, it's graded on a bell curve, but there's certain questions like the ethics part that
Yeah.
if you don't pass it 100, like you're not gonna make it.
Yep. Yep. No, that's true. Let's see. I'd also review the CFP handout they provide. There was a quick reference. As I was going, let me go. Okay. At these last couple of weeks, this formula sheet, boy, that's really helpful. So I had to say, okay, let me write out what the hell this stuff means to me. You know what I mean? As I'm reviewing, and they have this, like this is what I'd look at on a day, because you're gonna go, you see that other one, like in the stress of an exam, like, oh, that's really helpful. Let me see what else. But the tax tables they provide, the last couple of weeks, and if you can do this a little bit earlier, you don't need to memorize all this, but I started looking at this every day, and I just kind of walked through it. Yes, I kind of ended up memorizing much of the numbers, but when you have to look this up, it's a scrolling. I wish it was in paper, but then you have to go over here in a slider bar on the exam, and I hated that. So knowing exactly where things were at, what page they were on, was great. So I could quickly go scroll right to the spot. Okay, bam, and then verify it and done. And I didn't waste any. I spared seconds there. You know what I mean? Like, or maybe even a couple of minutes overall. But I knew I got those questions right. But I knew where to look to verify it. Let's see, okay, the brain dump. Practice the brain dump and start that earlier. So right when you get into the exam, that's like, and I used to do this even for when I was taking the courses, like especially income taxation, which is the hardest CFP course in my opinion. But you go in right when you're starting the exam, and then while your brain's fresh, just write down all those hard things that you had to memorize. You know what I mean? And that way you don't have to think, because if you can limit the amount you have to think during the exam, the better. So what I did, and I can show. Let me see. I'll go. Office hours had it. I think it was
That's
Ford's
awesome.
office.
That's a great suggestion. Like all the stuff you have like in your short-term memory, just dump it on a piece of
exactly.
paper.
Just
Yeah, that's great.
Dump it on a piece of paper. So let me find, I think we had one of these. I'll see what, okay. Is there a brain dump? Anyway, okay, so here's minimum things I would have on the brain dump. Write out, Uber is, the financial planning process, UIA, DPIM, because you're gonna have a lot of questions on that. And they're not that simple because they use words from one of the steps, but it's actually for the actual step they're doing is a different one, but they're trying to trick you. So that's just a key one to have, written down. The options Foursquare chart, absolutely have that down. That saved so many, like instantly just look at it, like got it. Like instead of having to think at all about options, which can be very confusing to me at least. Maybe I'm a little slow, but nope. You just looked at that chart, bam, quick answer. Same with the bond teeter-totter. That's another one. Just that probably saved another 4 or 5 questions where I just knew, like looked at it. Oh yeah, and it just had the answer. And then I put the tax formula, like so like what's above the line, below the line. That way, because some of that always confused me as well. Wasn't a CPA or EA, so that just knowing, okay, where does each of these deductions fall in, and the things like that was definitely helpful. And those are the key ones. I don't know if Brian's still on, but if you had any others, but those were the ones that I definitely have. And then any other ones that whatever you think is it's going to make you have to think too hard during the exam, get that as part and start practicing that brain dump several weeks out, it probably a month out, so that you just get it down. And part of it probably by writing it down that many times, it, what I mean, better, but then you don't even have to think about it. Like I said, the less you have to think on that exam, the better, because your brain's going to get tired over 6 hours. Also, when you do those practice exams, the Dalton and the CFP board, don't do it within 5 days of the actual exam, because of the fatigue it's going to give you. You know what I mean? Take those a ways out so that, you know, if you can take both, you know, the Daltons, Grace, you know, and whatever Danko has, and then take at least one of I just took one of the CFP board, and that gives you a little more realistic. That was probably more with the exam. I felt like that one was actually a little easier than the actual exam, but maybe that's because they had the new questions they were asking that, you know, might have been butt kickers. But okay, let's see. If you can take the week off, if if you can take a week off before the exam, do it. Like if you could have your whole focus just the CFP exam, that'd be ideal. But I took Wednesday afternoon, Thursday and Friday off, and then I had that weekend. And then that's all I was, you know, just then I didn't have any other distractions, you know, that definitely helped. Let's see. For studying, I also had the quick sheets. Have you guys seen those? Let me see where the quick sheets. Okay, take a second to load. You guys can see the screen, right? Wow, it's slow to load. Okay, there we go. Have you guys seen this? Like you can, but I had these all printed out in a binder, and I just go through not all of them initially, but I go through like one or two, you know, each morning, and also those tax tables and stuff that I mentioned. That way you just know where things are at, and it's just like that quick summary of different things. Like okay, and then I might see something like, wait, let me look at that again. You know,
Is that from the Dalton program? Is that where you got it?
if you got the guarantee to pass, yeah, that was part of it. Grace,
Oh.
you should have that, right? You should have gotten these quick sheets, and they're like these laminated sheets, but I cut them and then put them into like a binder, into, you know, binder sheets or what, you know, I can't speak. And then I just had everything organized in a binder as well, that I kind of flip through those specific things. But you can get those, and I know these are old, so I had dumped these in the Facebook group so that people had access to them, but I don't want to do it with these because I don't want to, they're out of date, I guess, you know what I mean? That was 2023, so if somebody has the more recent ones, that'd be very helpful. But you can just buy these too from whatever. I'm just trying to think. Oh, Money Education quick sheets. There you go. So, but that was just, you know, those constant looking at everything one more time, you know, or more than once. Okay.
Yeah, those are helpful. That's like
Yep.
what we used to call the secret sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then flashcards. If you can start making flashcards right away, do it. And handwritten, because it's the writing down that helps you retain. It's proven that writing versus typing or anything else sticks in your brain better. So and like when I was studying, though, sometimes I'm like, a hard question. You might not be able to get the answer down, but you know, I don't know this. So write at least what it is, the front side of the, you know, like, what do I need to answer? And then you can go back later and write out what the correct answer is. And then start flipping through your flashcards every day. And what I started doing, I wish I'd started those earlier, but I did have enough. And then I'd start whittling through. And then I'm like, okay, I got this. You know, I started my stack went from here down to here. You know what I mean? And you can take those into the exam, not in the exam room, but you get a locker, right? And you can't, when you're in that 3-hour period, you can't open that locker. But when you're on the little break, you know, or before the exam, if you want to do a quick look at a couple things, you can do that. Shove it in the locker. Finish your first part of the exam. You're on your little lunch break. You can go back. It's legal to go back and open that, and you could look at, you could flip through if you wanted to. You know, I'm just saying, it's not saying, and you can also bring a water bottle. It's got to be clear, but you can bring that into the exam as well. So, okay, case study problems. So everybody probably has their own way of doing it. There's no easy way. Everybody, you're going to get these, and it's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 pages you have to, you know, read. And there's some questions there's like 2 questions on that page. Then you got to go to the next page, and there's 2 more questions and 2 more questions. What worked for me, and doing the case studies was I read like the first paragraph or so, just to get an idea, what the hell is this situation? Kind of the, you know, and then I just go scroll right down to the first questions on that page and go, okay, let me go find those answers. You know what I mean? And that's what I do. And then I go look, you know, for the answer basically to figure it out. Then if I could, if it was taking a bit of time, I just see it out and, you know, when in doubt, see it out. I give an answer, what I thought was best, flag it and go. Because then you've got more questions. But that really helped me to not, because like I said, I'm kind of a slow reader when I'm trying to read for really retaining. And you know what? I need to know what they're going to ask me about. Then I know what's important when I'm reading. So but that quick little summary of what this problem is, and then quickly go into the answers or the questions, and then search in for the answers. That worked for me. So let's see. Dry run going to the center at the same time, like if it's because mine was like 8 o'clock in the morning, so you're right in rush hour traffic. So the same day of the week, if you can, you know, not, you know, hopefully like same situation, but go there and dry run it. Because the last thing you want to do is go, where am I, get lost or feel like you're running late. You're already gonna have some anxiety. So do a dry run, go there, talk to the people inside. That's where I learned you can take a clear water bottle and you're fine. You know, and you see, you know, you get a sense of, okay, how long do I need to show up ahead of time? And they'll tell you like, yeah, you're gonna come in, you're gonna check in, then you have to get wanded before you go in, yada, yada, yada. All that. The if you're out of town, like if you had to go to another town, I would go spend the night in that town ahead of time. You know what I mean? You don't want to drive several hours or something. So, you know, we did that when my wife was taking a different exam in when we were in Virginia, and yeah, that we didn't have that stress. It's worth it. You know, it's worth it. Okay, last thing, the calculator. I bought a second calculator and fresh batteries. The last thing I'd want is the calculator to stop working. You know, imagine how stressful that would be. So I bought a second one and then just returned it. But you know, it was worth it to have that fresh batteries and a second one just in case. You know, because that would just ruin your whole day. Okay, Any questions on that? And we'll get into the OneNote.
I do have a question. I'm sorry,
Yep.
I'm hijacking this whole thing.
Yep.
This
No.
is going to be my first time taking a test on a computer. Like when I took the CFA and the CPA, it was all, you know, in writing. So I'm dating myself, but, you know, I had to sit there and do it on a desk. So for me, this is challenging because you know, on a computer. So can you like just give me something about that?
Yeah, so and that's where I guess on that you'll still have paper that you can bring in, but that's why I recommend going through the tax tables and those kind of things, because of things that are much more comfortable for me on paper. Kind of dry running it a bit helps. You know what I mean? And that's why knowing those tax tables and where everything is just helps that I could quickly move right to it.
Can I have an interjection real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Norca, so when I took the CPA exam, something that's different is whenever I was studying at home or at work, I'd have two big monitors. So I could have the question here, and then over here I'd have my big Excel sheet and everything. And something when you're sitting and taking the exam, you just get one pretty small monitor. So a big thing is monitoring your space. So I almost turn the other one off, and when I'm taking a quiz or simulating the exam, just getting used to being a little crowded. Because something I noticed when I took the first section of the CPA exam, I was like, I don't have much nearly, you know, as room as I thought. So you have to get used to working in a small area.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great point. Don't use two monitors when you're taking the practice exams. The other thing is always look for the scroll bar in case there's something you miss. You know what I mean? Because if you miss, you know, part of the question, and also one of the good things though, Norca, is you can quickly highlight because every word matters. They try to trick you on this exam. So highlighting specific words, go, okay, there, it's what's not blah, 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 instead of what is, you know what I mean? So using that highlight is key. Flagging is key. And typically, unless you absolutely know the answer, you want to change the answer because you know 100% that it's right, don't change it. Usually your gut instinct is right, so don't go back and change it unless you know for certain. That makes sense.
Okay. All right.
But
Yeah, we get one monitor. Yeah, usually you're used to working with two 27-inch
yeah, nope.
monitors, and
Yeah,
so you're just gonna
especially when you're, and it's about 27 inch. It was a decent size, I think. You know, it was probably 21 maybe, but I would just, especially when you're doing the exam
Yeah.
practice exams and stuff,
Mhm.
just have that one. That's a great point, Will. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Did that answer enough? I mean, it's
Mhm.
hard to, okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay, so now we'll go into OneNote. You guys can see that okay?
Mhm.
Okay, so OneNote, this is like a tool for organizing curriculum and my life in general. It started, like I said, when I was prepping for getting ready to start my MBA program. Like, how the hell am I going to get? Um, but what we'll do, well, I'm going to walk you through a little bit of this. So these are all sections. It's like having a 3-ring binder with dividers, but even better. And one of the coolest things about OneNote is these are all, it comes with actual sections, but you can see all these up here that are like these little black things that look like multi-folders. They're multi-section groups. So in the MBA course I was taking, there was each like semester or quarter, whatever was a theme, and there might be three different courses in that. So you can create a multi-section group, and then inside of that multi-section group, for theme 3, I've got, okay, I had an admin I created, like, you know, just like you'll have for all the welcomes, the stuff for prepping for the CFP exam, et cetera, the schedule. And then we had a marketing class, leadership and organization. So I'd have separate tab for each of these. And then on the pages, you can make pages and then sub pages. So I broke down like, okay, emails from the professor, deliverables, case studies, and then slides. And then all this stuff, you just like you're getting now, everything comes digitally. And so you can take the soft copy and just print to OneNote, or you can come up here and insert a file printout, and it'll print right in there. So let me go, what's a quick, easy one? Okay, yeah, do this. Let me add a page. Whoops, cancel. But you can do insert a file printout and just go, okay, you saw I just created that page, right? Look, wham, there it is. And then if you have an iPad, or like I had a Microsoft Surface when I was doing this, I could, like when I'm listening to classes, or I take notes with a pen as I'm listening to it on my computer. You know, so that's where, like, you see here, like my handwriting is terrible, sorry, but look, this is, you know, I was able to sit there and take notes while I'm taking the exam. You think no wonder I scored #1 in the school. Like, I was so much more organized than everybody else. You know, and I could, it was just great. And so here, let me go, and I'll go back. Let me see. Okay, so, but you can, like right here, like I said, you can make subpages, pages and subpages, and you can make subpages. You can go as nerdy as you want, you know, as far as getting organized. But to make it a subpage, I just grabbed the cursor, you know, and clicked and moved it. Or you can right click here and say, make subpage, promote subpage, et cetera, you know, and I'll say promote subpage. So bam, it's promoted. Now I'll move it back. But you can get as organized, you know, like as Nat's, you know, as refined as you want. But and you'll probably change as you're studying along, like, wait, I want this section. You just add new sections. But so that was the MBA, and then I did the same thing for but you see here, I just had admin, cliff notes, extra, you know, like all these different things that, you know, had everything. And it's on my laptop, it's on my iPad, it's on my phone, everything, you know. So here's my CFP prep. So you see all these. So this is from the prep course. I'm like, okay, here's getting started. So I had the schedule. I printed this to OneNote, and I printed one out though, so that I had it in a binder and I could check off what I was doing, as I was progressing along. Um, the but just getting started stuff, CFP formulas and tax sheets. So the kind of given stuff that they have. The infographics, these are kind of cool too. Just I think this comes with the guaranteed to pass. Good, just like a brain dump. These kind of things, like okay, that makes it a simplified way of looking at those. And then I broke it down into the different areas, and what all the different videos and stuff like that they had. You can so like I said, you can print things to OneNote. You can also snapshot stuff. So like if you're listening to a video and they don't give you a slide deck with it, but the video has like words and stuff, like key stuff on it, you can just snapshot it and paste it in. So here's like, I'll show you guys. Grace, you already did TPCP, but here's what, so here's unit 1. So I broke down all these videos as he's talking. And as soon as he's talking, something came up like a screenshot, grab it, paste it. And then I've got like, look, I've got his whole lecture in there. And then I would take the quizzes, always take the quizzes, but now I've got all the material. And now at least you can also download the recordings. Before, like on ICP, you couldn't do that. So, but now I've got all the meat, you know, like I have my own slide deck of all these different topics. So that's a simple way you can do this as well. Does that make sense? Like if you're just watching a video that doesn't, okay, I'll go back to the CFP study. Okay, well, so all of these, like I said, here's office hours. Once again, I could start taking notes as, all these things you can do. Let me see. Okay. Okay, we've done multi-section groups, pages, subpages. Something cool you can do here, like you see where I've got all those notes I was writing. Well, you can go in here, like, damn it, I want more space here. So you can see on the top left, this insert space. You can go in and go, and then you've got more room to write. And so let me get my iPad out and open this one up. I'll show you what. Let's see, what are we at? Okay. Okay, so I'm at this, what page am I? Yeah. Okay. I just moved here. Okay. So, I'd sit there with my iPad or some tablet or whatever you have, and you can just take notes as they say something that's important. You just take notes and add it. It's just and you can adjust. Like I said, you can insert space. You can close it up. You can lasso, like, oh dang it, this draw. You can draw stuff here as well. You can highlight, but here's a cool thing too. You can go like, oh, I need to move. Sometimes as I'm doing things, like what's on the iPad doesn't exactly match the laptop and it's like covering something up. So you can go, dang, that sucks. So you can lasso this and then go, oh, let's move it down. And anyway, any questions on that? Oh, see how it's screwed up though. I didn't lasso it correctly. The SC is still, so this is Control Z. Yep, you see it's not selected there. So let me read lasso. Now the whole thing will move. So anyway, just little tricks I learned along the way. Let's see. Okay, now what we're going to do is create a notebook. So you guys see how to do this. Any questions right now about the different sections, what I did, organizing? I want to give you guys a chance to ask, and feel free to ask questions as we're going. Don't wait till the end. Okay. Okay, well, in that case, what I'll do is let's just create a new notebook. So you see how to do this. We'll say CFP caps lock. Okay. Actually, I'll just say tactics. Okay, create notebook. You can, okay, I said create notebook. Sorry, sometimes. Okay, you can invite people right to it. You can invite people to all these OneNote notebooks, and you can make them as editors or just viewers. It defaults to editor, so make sure you're paying attention if you share it with somebody. So typically, if it's your notebook, you can go back to any version if somebody did edit your stuff. But anyway, so we're not going to invite anybody. But now, okay, see how it starts. There's a section 1. Go up here. You can rename it. Okay, section 1. Now you can click here, get another section. Section 2. Wait, what the heck? It's blue. That sucks. Let's go change the section color, make that yellow. Then here, see how where the plus is, the plus will just make a new section. Come over to this top space and right click, and you can do that section group I was talking about, which is so helpful as far as, organizing. And then you go into this multi-section group and go boop. Okay, section group, section 1. Section group, section 2. And then you're okay. Let's go back to section group 1. Now you're like, okay, it always comes with one page, and you can go as soon as you title it here, page 1. I'm just using obviously simple terms to, example. Okay, and then you can go in and add, like you said, you can print to this page, or you can add, you can do a file printout like I did earlier. Let's see. Actually, I'll do that. Let me see. Let me find a simple file. Okay. Now it is. Okay. There we go. I'll just open this and go. Okay. Now, see the Word document I just opened? You can do this for PDF, anything, but then you click print, and instead of a printer, you could go and select OneNote, and hopefully it says OneNote desktop. And you go, yep, okay, print. And then you see this pops up. Where do you want that printout to go? And usually at the bottom, it shows exactly what page you're on or the section you're in, which then that'll be the default section if you print to that. So I'll just say right to this page. Let's go, oh, okay. Actually, I'm going to say it's section group because it's going to create another page. So you see that. And it doesn't label it, but it's like, oh, printout, okay. So you just, print out name. You know what I mean? You just type it in your name and then it updates there. Okay. But wait, I want this to be a subpage. So what do? You just go here, move it. Now it's a subpage. And let's just call that instead subpage 1. Okay. Questions there? Does this make sense? Okay. Now I'm going to minimize. I'm going to make this and I'm going to delete. Okay. Okay. Now other things you can do from the website. Okay, I'll just go. What the heck? Okay, sorry that. I'm just going to do something here. I'm going to start a video just so you guys can see that whole what I was doing about the snapshotting. Let's go here, here. Okay, okay, see that? Snapshot, wham. And then you go.
So that's embedded in OneNote, not a link, or is it a link? I'm asking in case I
Okay.
don't have internet access. Will I
Okay,
still be able to?
so when you snapshot,
Mhm.
it'll add, or you copy and paste. Like watch this. I'll go copy and paste, Control C, Control V. Whoops, sorry. Sorry that I had that other printout already in there. You see where it just provided the hyperlink to where I copied that from.
Mhm.
Okay, so I usually delete all those because I know where I'm at because I label it right here. So here's, what are we looking at? Coordinating education. Coordinated education. I've already got it there. So I got rid of all those because I don't want all the hyperlinks. I just want the material. And I know
Mhm.
exactly where it was at because it was lesson 2 of unit 4. So, but you can also just go, another thing you guys should get, I use Chrome, but you can, there's a Chrome extension. So you go here, just go OneNote, Chrome extension. Okay. And then here's the OneNote clipper. Like it has these for, whatever you want, but I already have it. But if you didn't, you just say add here. And now it's always, I have it pinned because I use it so often because not only do I use this for curriculum, like I said, I use it for my life. So here's, okay, here's home stuff. So let's see, here's shopping lists. You go shopping, right? Don't you typically buy the same stuff in the store? Not every time, but in general, don't you?
Mhm.
So I've got a list. I make barbecue a lot. So I've got a list of my standard things that I have for barbecue. And when I'm ready to go do some major, I go take a look like, okay, what do I have? This on my phone. I have my phone, but a little checklist. I go to Costco all the time. So I've got this. We run out of something. Up, whoops, up. Time for we need some more plastic cups. Uncheck. Then when I go into Costco, I've got it right there. You know, how about this? Recipes or menus. We eat a lot of the same places, and one has a gluten allergy, so I would print these uh, different menus, and then I just know right where to go, and I could take notes on them. Like, oh, this what's when they didn't say what was gluten free, but I figured out from them that it just makes everything life easy, and what we've eaten before. Recipes. So what do you guys, what's a good thing somebody likes to eat? Oh, I'll show you. Sorry,
Chicken tacos.
I'll show you real quick. Here, real quick. So using this, so different ways to print to OneNote. So you could go print and just, I said Control P and print to that whole page to OneNote. Or you can go click that OneNote, the Chrome extension, and then you can print the whole page. You can print a region if you just wanted to snapshot a bit. I'm not going to do that. You could print just the article so it gets rid of all the ads and stuff, and then you pick where you want to send it to. So let's go, I'll just put it CFP, sample CFP study. Okay, I'll just put it here, clip. Oh, I don't think I have that. I'm just going to put it right in. Sorry, I'm going to put it right where I'm at so that it's easier, it shows up. print. So go find it, home stuff, recipes, or sorry, menus, clip, and then it'll show up here in less than a minute. But you can also, okay, so you said chicken, what did you say? Chicken,
Chicken
tacos?
tacos.
Okay, so I'll just go, ooh, 71 of ridiculously good. Okay, so let's go here. And usually these have like jump to recipe. So same thing, you could print it, or you could just jump right to recipe and go, oh, nice. And you can, that always
Okay.
gives you a print. Where are you gonna print it? And you print to OneNote and
Perfect.
print, not the printer, OneNote, go, and it'll pull up, where do you want to print it again? So I'll go current section. Oop. Okay, and you see the last thing I printed, that depository trust thing, that's already shown up, and voila, there's your ridiculously good tacos, chicken tacos, Norca.
Nice.
So let's see, Brian, am I missing anything on here that's okay? Yeah, I use this like for recipes,
great.
workouts, you know, like I have
Mhm.
I have an exercise thing here as well. So diet and exercise, OneNote. And I've got all these like, okay, here's, okay, I've got running workouts, rowing workouts, you know, so it's, you know, different programs you can put. It's, you know, I've all life here. And so it's just nice, you know, and you could
Mhm.
go have it on your phone. Like, what's that workout? Like I'm doing some Tabata something workout, like, oh, there it is, you know? So it's just really, really useful. Okay. And I think, okay, I think that's it. Brian, anything I'm missing that
I had a question,
yep.
and I think this applies to really any study. Are you guys using AI at all
Oh yeah.
to help organize your study or make, well, the good news, I know with Dalton, you know, you got the question bank, which is great. I don't see a question bank for TPCP and stuff like that. But so what I've been doing is I've been creating my own quizzes
Yeah.
with AI,
Which AI are you using though?
Chat GPT.
Okay. Yep. And you can also do it. I know Google, like whatever Gemini does it. I used Claude. And I'll show you guys that real quick.
So
Okay.
you just dump the material in there and ask him to.
Yeah, and you can do different things. Like I printed off the coursework for the different, for like RACP and for the first class of TPCP, the whole course, you know, material that has all the stuff that's not even touched on all the videos, and you know, and then said, yeah, can you make quizzes? And I want a quiz for you just talk to it, and it works it out. Like, no, I want to be able to repeat these so that I can, and I want to touch on each section. And then, you know, and it keeps like, it'll keep score for you and everything. Like, and
One of the things that I
it's really
do with
cool.
my quizzes, you know, sort of study quizzes, is I have the answer right below it and the explanation for why it was
Yeah.
right and why everything else was wrong.
Yep. And that's what this even does. Like when I answer it, and that's what I say, like, hey, I want to know what the reasoning and where to look it up. And so it does that. So I'll give you an example right here. I'll take this, like, okay, how many baby boomers turn age 65 every day? I know this because I've missed this earlier.
10,000.
10,000. So, but look, it goes, yep, correct. You know, and then it says, it does the explanation, and then it says HS 353, section 111, page 1.2.
You
Know
did that
right
in
where to go.
Claude?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How did you do? See, I told you I'd learn something. How did you do that?
For a small fee, I might help you.
Do you tutor?
I don't I have to go back and look at what I did, but all it was Claude's really smart. It's a 4.6 version. And I just said, hey, I want, I'm uploading these. I want to make quizzes so that for long-term retention of the material. It's not really this. I'm not using for. I'm not worried about the exam. This is for me for downrange so that I can keep, and I wish I had
Right.
all the like CFP like coursework that new fresh, and I could put that in and just start, having things that are like, let me go relook at, estate planning or freaking what's the one I always had a pain in the ass with the I can't. I think I'm hiding it from my even. uh,
Taxes.
it's
Taxes was
with
your favorite.
taxes, but I was like, what was it? Was like, and Tax Cuts and Jobs Act kind of got rid of it for a while, basically, or very, um, I don't know anyway, but yeah, those kind of things, like being able to completely review and it's amazing. Like, isn't that cool? And um, go to next question, blah blah blah.
Now,
It's
how did you get it to do the format like that? You just told it to make a quiz?
yeah. I said I
Interactive?
want to, yeah. I said I want to make,
Man.
this interactive, and I said I want you to
And
keep
I thought I
score.
was being pretty cool with my chat GPT stuff.
So this is pretty cool.
Pretty
Yes,
neat, yeah.
check this out too. I did this training. So I do these Financial Fitness Fridays, and I was like, I did one on Roth versus traditional and lifetime tax planning because it's scary how little people know, and so I talked about, hey, one of the questions I asked them is, do you know what tax bracket you're in? And what kind of system we have. And I got feedback. I'm now getting smarter. I'm getting surveys from people, seeing how they liked it and anything to change. And somebody said it might be good to have an example, portfolio or something where and I'm like, okay, that's a great idea, but I'm not going to go into Holista plan or something, and let me see what Claude can come up with. And so I said what I wanted, and check this out. I'm like, and I deal with a lot of military and retirees, so I've made it for, you can adjust the salary here, the pension, whatever, these different things, and then you can go,
You
wait,
built that in Claude?
yeah,
Oh
and
man,
and then
you
wait,
and I
check
got to
this
get
out. Look
together,
at
bro.
look at this. Look at this. See, okay, you're doing traditional. Oh, wait, let's switch. What if we do Roth contributions? Oh, look at how that changed our tax rate, effective tax rate.
Beautiful.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
You
So,
got to show me that trick.
um, okay.
And
Now
not
I'm just,
much coding, right? Not much
I didn't
coding,
do
just
any coding.
commands.
Yeah, I just talked to him. Said, hey,
Okay.
this is what I want to do.
Wow.
So
Hey, your Fitness Fridays,
yeah.
can I be a fly on the wall?
Oh yeah, I thought I invited you. So if you guys are interested, I can invite all of you guys to that if you want. Oh, so sorry, I'm gonna stop sharing now. Oh, what was the chat? Oh, okay, that was probably Grace. Like, she already knew OneNote, so but
Mm.
okay. Now it's just time for questions that you guys have. But I'm gonna go. So let's see. Actually, what I'll do here is. I thought I had, man, Brian, I thought I had you already is. So I have a label for people that have FFF, like Financial Fitness Friday. And so I can just, when I create these, now I've made it for typically the second Friday of the, I have to move it 1 week out for May. But um, let me go find you. Okay, nope, I didn't have you as a label. So I've just added the label to you for Financial Fitness Friday. And then I'm just going to edit the event. This is May, add guests, ERY. Okay, save. This
Well,
small
the
event.
last thing that I would add to the discussion, if it's helpful, is if after not studying and being out of school for 30 plus years, as a matter of fact, when I first got the books, I opened up the books and I couldn't read the print. I was like, oh my God, I am so screwed. It turns out I needed glasses, but but to start and you know, to study 3 hours a day, I had to work up to it. I wasn't able to do it like right away. Now
And-
I almost don't want to stop. You know, so I did RICP, I'm doing TPC, and I'll continue to keep doing it. I'm almost afraid like I'm going to lose it or something.
Well, and 3 hours, that's cumulative. That's not in one sitting. Remember that. Like I
I
said,
do an hour. I do usually an hour and a half in the morning, and an
Yep.
hour and a half at
Yeah.
night.
and all I mean
Some
is
nights 10 minutes, some nights, you know.
the whole point is be focused. Time doesn't matter. It's the focused minutes that matter.
Yeah.
You know, and so if you're not focused, go do something else. Go, you know, exercise is one of the best things, you know, because it clears my mind, you know, better than anything. Drinking a beer is not the right thing to do. Um, but what other questions you guys have?
Well, I got to run. Alan, you, captain, oh my captain, you're the best, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Yes,
See
thank
you
you
guys
so
later.
much.
Nice to
This
talk
is
to you
great.
guys.
Bye. Nice seeing you.
Yep.